Protein is the second most abundant molecule in fat-free bodily tissues next to water. Most active adults know that protein is a key ingredient for muscle building, but the common understanding ends there. In this episode, we're going to shed some light on how much protein is right for you and compare the different types of protein sources. It's time for your total fitness journey. Hey there, Coach Rick for X3TF, where our focus is educating you on the trifecta of exercise, nutrition, and mind-body to achieve total fitness. This is going to be an in-depth episode, given this is foundational knowledge. Like our other episodes on macronutrients, we're going to simplify the science and provide key takeaways. Okay, with that said, protein is an essential dietary nutrient for healthy living. Protein is crucial for exercise recovery and has a role in almost all bodily functions and processes, including energy production, cell signaling, and nutrient transport. White blood cells rely on protein to help fight infections and disease. In fact, underscoring this point was a 2014 study that focused on how cyclists who increased their training with a high-volume, high-intensity regimen impacted their immunity by the protein intake. Cyclists that kept to their normal 1.5 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight reported upper respiratory symptoms from the increased training. Now, the cyclists that doubled their intake to 3 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight maintained better white blood cell functions and experienced less respiratory symptoms. Now, protein is made from elements of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. These elements combine to form the building blocks of protein, which are known as amino acids. Out of hundreds, there are just 20 amino acids that the human body needs. Non-essential amino acids can be synthesized in the body from other amino acids. Only the 9 essential amino acids need to be consumed as part of our diets. Branched-chain aminos are one of the most commonly used supplements for recovery and performance increases from intense training. I personally have seen my recovery from intense exercise drastically improve and shorten from my own consumption of branched-chain aminos. All right, here's where it gets really exciting. It's been shown that use of as little as 6 grams of essential amino acids after resistance training has been shown to stimulate muscle protein synthesis, especially in older populations who sometimes experience a blunted muscle protein synthetic response to just protein alone. Therefore, essential amino acids ingested after workouts, along with a nutrition plan that's balanced, can help preserve and stimulate muscle development regardless of age. This brings us to that old question that people continue to hear mixed messages on. How much protein do we need? There is reason for this confusion. The dietary reference intakes for protein set by the Food Nutrition Board is 56 grams per day for men and 46 grams a day for women. This is a minimum amount needed for the bodily functions, with the reference data derived from sedentary individuals. Okay, most folks who exercise, they know this amount seems incredibly low, and it probably is to avoid muscle breakdown. The next recommended intake comes from the Institute of Medicine. It recommends 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. If you're not used to kilograms, then divide your weight in pounds by 2.2, then multiply by 0.8 to get your protein amount. This means for a 160-pound male, the protein intake would be 128 grams per day. This ratio seems a little more acceptable for general fitness in those folks who are active. Now, the American College of Sports Medicine, American Dietetic Association, and Dietitians of Canada recommend athletes and individuals working out at a higher intensity need approximately 1.2 to 1.7 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. The same 160-pound male's protein intake with this recommendation would range from 191 to 273 grams of protein per day. Okay, let's move into the key takeaways to help you with your protein intake. First, consider using the 1.2 to 1.7 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight recommendation. You know what happens when we don't eat enough protein? For active adults, it could mean a slower recovery, less gains from our workouts, or worse, the body ultimately breaks down the muscle and other critical tissues to supply needed nutrients. This would undo all the hard work we put in. For my own training purposes, I only eat at the top end of the recommendation on days where my exercise is very strenuous. Remember, a gram of protein equates to 4 calories, just like a carb. I want to avoid excess calories, but I also want to make sure that I get adequate amounts of protein because of muscle-sparing purposes. For most folks, the numbers we've discussed will work for their needs, whether dieting or training. Remember, only you can assess how much protein is right for you based on your activity level and your tolerance to protein. 2. Prioritize lean proteins that are lower in saturated fats. As I stated in other nutrition episodes, try to ensure veggies make up a larger portion of your plate. Now, they're higher in fiber, and veggies like spinach are a good supplement of source of protein. And those folks that can eat beans, wow, beans are protein powerhouses. Just remember, a single plant-based protein, though a great part of a balanced diet, will not provide all the essential amino acids. Another great protein source is wild cod. Grill it or bake it, don't fry it, and turn the superfood into a trans fat nightmare. Speaking of superfoods, my staple and my favorite protein source is egg whites. No fat and no cholesterol for those people monitoring theirs. Simply heat some egg whites in a skillet coated with a little avocado or olive oil and you have a solid protein source. Just beware of adding sauces and other condiments that might spike the calories or sodium levels. 3. Consider amino supplementation. Use of essential amino acids during your workouts along with a balanced nutrition plan can help further preserve and stimulate muscle development. Now, from a personal note, I find during those cycle classes that I teach, I must use a branched chain amino acid drink to prevent muscle breakdown and delayed onset muscle soreness. The one I choose is 0 calories and mixes well with water. There are a ton of branched chain amino drinks out there. Just make sure they have good reviews and adhere to high manufacturing standards. If you're not sure if aminos are right for you, then consult a local registered dietitian who's familiar with your particular circumstances, or consult your doctor. 4. Supplement your protein intake. If you find it is difficult to eat so much protein, then you're not alone. Consider protein supplements. For example, on days where my protein intake is greater than 200 grams, I drink a protein shake or two. Same rules apply to protein powders as before. Make sure the manufacturer follows a quality process and reviewers provide high marks. For myself, I use both a plant-based pea protein with all the essential amino acids supplemented and a whey protein. I find the whey tastes better because it's flavored, but it's not organic like the pea protein. Just remember, with protein powders, you can go overboard in making a delicious smoothie. Before you know it, everything but the kitchen sinks in it, and now you're drinking a 600-calorie meal. Small amounts of veggies, fruits, or milk are okay, but the main ingredients should be the powder, water, and ice. Lastly, protein supplementation should never take the place of a balanced, nutritious meal. Remember that finding your groove with the right amount of protein is part science and part art form. Just like all the other macronutrients out there, only you can gauge what works for you. Nutrition is not a one-size-fits-all. Follow the key recommendations and tailor your intake to your needs. And remember, if you have concerns or health conditions, always talk to your doctor or a dietitian before changing your nutrition plan. Remember, don't wish for it, work for it. Before you go, please hit that little subscribe button and notification bell to keep up to date on X3TF's programming that looks to help you achieve total fitness.